Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gwen and today I'm going to be doing a tag video named The Witch's Brew. This was created by Brew at Loc'D Booktician here on Booktube for the Black-oween-athon that is happening all October long. So there are about 9 questions in this tag and here are my answers. The first question is timed, so I'm going to get my timer out on my phone. So first question is name 5 witches in 10 seconds. So I'm gonna show you guys right there. Yennefer, Triss Marigold, the Sanderson sisters, Hilda, and Zelda from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Yeah! Whew, I hate timed things. That's the 5 that I came up with. The Sanderson sisters, I should also note. I don't know their actual names. I just know their last name. I know they have individual names for each one, but I am not a huge fan of this movie. I feel like some people might be aghast by that, but I've only watched it a couple of times and I knew them as the Sanderson sisters. That's why I counted them all as one because I couldn't actually individually name each of the 3. So Triss and Yennefer I think they're pretty well known now, which is they are from the Witcher universe. I love them to death, both of them. I'm a bigger Yennefer fan, but Triss is also wonderful in her own right. And then Zelda and Hilda from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Who doesn't love that pair? The one that is my favorite though is from Sabrina, the most current Netflix version, that pairing. Oh, such great actors. Love them. So the second question is, what is used in a witch's brew? I don't know what a witch's brew actually is, and I have always thought of it as something in a witch's space that is constantly brewing in the background, and then they will add something to it every once in a while that they feel makes it good. And it's kind of I wouldn't say it's a potion, but more like a soup. I imagine it more like a comfort thing, like a healing substance rather than a harmful one. So when my mind went in that direction, I was like, I think the one ingredient that definitely is in there would be water. That's kind of boring and not very creative, but I'm almost 100% sure that there would be water in that witch's brew. The third question is, what is your favorite spell that you've ever found in a book? There are so many spells that I have read about, and to be quite honest with myself, I like the splendor of a spell, and sometimes I don't realize what the spell was trying to do. It's more like if it makes such a big impact in the story, then I remember it really well. There's a lot that I don't recall. There's a lot of like healing ones I know that happen, but recently, I don't want to spoil this too much, but there is not necessarily a spell per se, but it's kind of a use of powers that was really cool. This is a very difficult power to explain. You paint in water, and whatever you create with that painting for a specific person in the future will actually happen. And if that person doesn't do that future, they become very, very sick and eventually die because they didn't follow their quote-unquote fate. So it's very, very intimidating, but that's something that I recently read about and I thought, this is so cool. Such an interesting way on how to talk about fate and use water as that source of power. Number 4 is name a book with green on the cover, and immediately that comes to mind is Jade City, which is right there on my shelf. You can see how green it is, and I haven't read it yet, so I can't tell you much about Jade City. All I know is that most people that I follow here on Booktube and on Twitter love this series and cannot wait for the 3rd book. Every single month I'm trying to push this book farther and farther on my to be read pile so that it gets closer to January so I don't have to wait for the book to come out, the very, very last one. The next question is, if you could have tea with any fictional character with magical powers, who would it be and why? I had to sit with this for a while because I had 2 questions of my own after this. Would the character enjoy tea? And would the character actually talk to me about their lives? Or would they be too secretive that we would just have like a very not deep conversation over tea? I might have figured out a workaround with this question, and I hope I'm not cheating because I selected a god as my fictional character of choice that has magical powers. So my fictional character that I chose was Male from Malazan Book of the Fallen, and I can't really dive into a lot about why I chose him because it would be a huge spoiler to the series, but overall I think his temperament is someone who would enjoy tea, and I think he wouldn't answer every question I had, but I think he would enjoy a deeper conversation on some of the questions that I have about his life and the world in general that he resides in. The next question is, what is your favorite series or movie that has witches in it? This was also something that I had difficulty figuring out because I am not a huge avid watcher of TV or movies. So I did mention Sabrina the Teenage Witch earlier. I did love the sitcom version. It was so funny, and Salem the cat was my favorite character by far. Whoever was the voice actor for him and the writers for him did such a great job with that character. So thinking about the Sabrina now that's on Netflix, not my favorite. I have watched it, but I think where the story went for season 3, I was just not about it, even for season 2. The other one that I would like to mention that I think might be my overall favorite, but I haven't watched this season in a very long time, so I could be wrong if I rewatched it now, but Coven for American Horror Story, that was phenomenal. Very, very creepy, very, very gruesome. There was a lot of disgusting moments in there, but also just some honest shit that was talked about. Also, it's the only season that I've watched fully of American Horror Story. So question 7 is, name 2 witches of color from any kind of media source. So the first one that came to mind was Bonnie from The Vampire Diaries. I watched the first 3 seasons, I think, when it came out on TV, and then I never followed up finishing that series. Looking back on that series now, Bonnie did not get justice as a character to follow more of her plot line. From what I can remember, she was just a secondary character that came in to do little things because she was a witch, and that was never explored more than, I think, the first season had the most in-depth information about it. So yeah. So the second character that came to mind was Angela Bassett's character from Coven, which is Desiree Dupree. I believe she was a witch of voodoo or hoodoo. I'm pretty sure it's voodoo though, because Coven was based in Louisiana. The second witch that is also black on Coven was Queenie, played by Gabby Sidibe. I actually don't know how to pronounce her name, but this is how you spell it. I don't want to spoil the season if you've never seen it, but loved her character. The 8th question is, what kind of witch or warlock would you be? I feel a little bit embarrassed to say it because it's so dark, but I'd love to do blood magic. Oh man. Blood magic is one of those things, it's part of necromancy usually, or very close in relation to necromancy, but it's always had like this negative connotation, and I really think blood magic could also be like for medical purposes, like for healing practices and stuff, but I do it for the bad stuff. But like, if you want a demonstration, what I'm thinking of with blood magic, it would be like splitting open veins, and that's like how you would kill people very discreetly. It's a bit creepy. It's a creepy one, but I love it. The bonus question, or the 9th question in this tag, is one where you kind of rewrite a character. What would happen instead if you had the choice to rewrite someone's path? I thought about, in Middle Earth, there are 2 blue wizards that are never heard of from again, and I think it'd be really cool if this wouldn't happen anymore, because obviously the author is not alive anymore, but I would love to have seen Gandalf the White probably go and find those 2 brothers and find out what happened to those wizards. I've always wanted to know, and it'd be so cool to see a different part of Middle Earth, because they went to a section of it probably that wasn't talked about in the books that we have about Middle Earth. So that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to Bree for creating this tag. It was super fun and really interesting to go and figure out the answers to these questions for myself, because I rarely think about these things. So that was really fun to do. As always, there are links down below to petitions and donation sites for the Black Lives Matter movement, along with anything else happening in the world currently that needs our attention. My social media links are also down there if you'd like to follow me anywhere else. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!